if you get a real fried food or fried cheese, it's this, they just take the glob of cheese and they just drop it straight into the oil. No breading. And it just creates this delicious fried cheese crust on it. And we
Whoa.
get them at the local state fair, and they're absolutely amazing. And there's a bar near my place that does a honey glazed bacon cheese curd using the same technique. And it's the best. I'm not allowed to go to that bar that often. I will spend all of my money on those cheese curds, which is like the worst thing to do because it goes right through you.
Oh,
You can see your intestines like, this is 90% oil. What the crap am I supposed to do with this?
Just slide right through.
Eats it right up the back door.
You have a really successful Patreon going on, right? For your work.
It is 5,000 more percent successful. That's a word I know how to say, than I ever thought it could be. And yeah, it's, I still don't believe it. I still don't believe it. Like, I log into my Patreon and I'm like, yeah, I'm just gonna post this thing that I made, and oh look, there's like 500 people that are looking at it right now.
Oh boy. Well, congratulations for one, and also, I'm sorry.
When I started this project, I legit thought I'd get like 5, maybe 6. This will just be a nice hobby to do on the weekends. Right, 6 months later, full-time job.
You live in the dream, some would say. But I understand completely, like, if I had to do anything, knowing that a bunch of people were just voluntarily giving me that much money, I would freak out.
I was gonna say, it's living the dream about 2 to 3 days a week, because the other days of the week, you're sitting there screaming internally and sometimes externally. I usually start my screaming around 2 p.m. is kind of, it's almost like clockwork at this point.
So we have an hour to talk to you before the screaming begins.
Basically.
Okay.
Oh, good.
It's just the existential dread of, holy shit, my entire livelihood is. Can I swear? I should have.
Oh yes, we swear I'm mad about it.
Okay. It's holy shit, my entire livelihood is dependent on this feature that I'm making actually being liked and appreciated, and people don't just hate me immediately and just, you know.
It's like a one-person like Bungie development team. Like, oops, sorry, we shouldn't have let the potions work. Oops.
So yeah, it's the community that I have to deal with actually makes it way better, because typically when I have like a really bad time, I can just like go hop into the Verbal Company channel, and like one time I did that, and like 6 people who, they were sitting in their own server, but they're also patrons of mine. They saw me just sitting in there and they all just raided me. So it was just beep, 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 join, and then just screaming, and I'm like, my headset volume was too loud because I was listening to music.
So all these people jump in like, what's going on?
All these people jumping in, and it's as stressful as making this game is. It's moments like that that really make it worth it, because it's like, I've made so many friends that I probably wouldn't have made if I had started this. I've learned so goddamn much about making games, game developers, video games. I take back like 90% of the things I said about you. It's not that easy. It is not that easy. Or you can just put this feature in. It's not that hard. No, it is. It is. Changing the damage die of a single weapon is like a month and a half of work, because you have to go through all of your tables, and you're going through all of your values, and you're going through all of your special weapons, and you're going like, okay, if we change it to this damage die, then this class suddenly can't, hit their DPS that the other DPS classes can hit. So what do we? And it's just, oh my god, don't get me started. We have to. Oh my god, I have to stop. I'm sorry.
Welcome to bonus experience.
I will snowball, and there will be no one else talking in this entire podcast. It'll just be me panicking.
Let's stop and think of fried cheese for just a moment.
My mouth is full of fried cheese.
Oh, okay. I'll take it from here. Hey, let's do our thing. Welcome to Bonus Experience. We're a podcast with a deeper look at the play experience and the finer details of running and writing games. We are queer women speaking with authority about games, and we swear when one of us isn't currently eating our lunch.
Well, I have one piece of fried cheese left.
Oh, I'm so proud of you. Die mad about it.
I'm Monica, mouthful of fried cheese, tabletop role-playing industry professional, currently a house gremlin because I have today off, and I have done nothing of value except set up our Discord all day.
Which then immediately broke.
Yes, which then immediately broke, mostly because I didn't know what I was doing.
I'm Ray. I work from home all day anyway, and today I did some writing and then I organized my pantry, and now I'm here talking to Monica and our educational guest. Please introduce yourself. Introductional. Oh God.
Who are you?
Who are you?
Who are you? Okay, so first of all, let me start by saying that I am the most badass video game player of this century. So, like, Dragon Age on Nightmare mode, like, okay, I only had to drop the difficulty about 9 times to make it through that. I'm like, you know that jump in the tutorial in Cuphead? I only had to try 5 times to do that, not like 2 minutes like that other guy. And Dark Souls, oh my god, I only rage quit that game like twice in the past month, which is it's a freaking record, okay? There has been no one who has ever rage quit less than that. I say this knowing that I have a friend who plays Dark Souls a lot, and I told him to put all of his stats and all of his little point thingies that you get when you level up, all those point thingies.
All his Dark Souls.
I told him, I dare you to beat the game putting that in the most useless stat in the game, and I forget the name of the most useless stat, but he did it, and he did it in like 6 hours.
Oh, what?
Yeah. Yeah, he's really good at it. He's really good at it. But anyways, for real, my real name is Stacy, but I go by Kitty, or formerly Good Game Kitty. I'm like super into video games and, you know, making tabletop games and playing tabletop games and stuff like that, as is obvious by my current profession right now. Oh man, that is still so weird to say that. Professional game maker. I'm still getting used to that. Like a year ago, he's literally April 14th was our 1-year anniversary for DnDestiny. That was the exact day that I started. I started it at like 10 p.m. at night, and I sent a text message to my buddies, and I was like, "Hey guys, you know it's gonna be great? A 5e conversion of 5e conversion to do Destiny." And they were like, "Don't you have work at 7 a.m.?" And I was like, "Yeah, but I'm gonna get this done tonight. It'll be fine. I'll get it done tonight." And I did.
Sure.
That's the moral of that story.
So obviously you are you're the lead designer for the home supplement DnDestiny, which is, as you said, a 5th edition hack made to fit the video game world of Destiny. We only have an hour until she starts screaming.
Okay,
so
we're down to 45 minutes at this point.
Let's talk 5e class design.
Yeah.
Building a new class is 20 levels of work. What kind of things do you think people should keep in mind while making their own homemade class?
Your cornerstone feature. So, especially if you're doing a 5e. Your cornerstone feature, which is typically, it's 2 features. You'll have a roleplay focused feature and you'll have a combat focused feature. The roleplay focused features are also referred to as ribbon features, just in case I say that later in the podcast. These features should define the class. Your players at level 1 should already feel like whatever class you're trying to make, if you're trying to make a chef class, they should feel like a chef just with the features they get at level 1. And that is how you know you're going to have, you know, a good cornerstone feature, and it should, most of the time, it should be a feature that levels up with the player. If you look at even like the Ranger's Natural Explorer thing, like they get a bunch of extra stuff at higher levels. It's their class feature is their cornerstone feature is being built the more you level up. So just having a really solid sense of what that class is with just 2 features is super important and really hard to do.
Yeah, that's really excellent advice. I was actually going to say something really similar, because I was going to say this may seem like 101 bullshit, but it is crucial to have a strong through line for your class design, which is literally what Kitty just said. But if you're going to homebrew something, like if you are just doing this for fun on your own, that's going to make life so much easier for you. It's going to make it easier for your players to pick up, and it's going to save you from having to answer extra rules questions. If you are a paid author, you better have your shit together. Also, 20 levels.
It is.
Yeah, 20 levels is a lot of work to define. And Ray is typing over the outline, so I can't read what.
No,
20 levels is a lot to define, and you don't want any dead levels or entries that don't make sense. And Ray is raising her hand. What?
I'm raising my hand. I know
What?
we're all in this tab, so I wanted to. I don't have any. I don't have as much experience doing like straight up class design in 5e, but I have a question about how do you feel about where do you draw the line between I should make this into a whole new class or I should make this into a featured path for a pre-existing class? Like, do you feel like there's a line you cross at some point where you go, okay, this stops being a new warlock patron and becomes a whole new thing?
All right, so drawing the line between making a new class and using a 5e base class. It's a little bit of personal preference because there's nothing wrong with doing either way. If you want to do a drunkard class, you could just do monk but reflavor it for your drunk the whole time, but it's literally the same thing. And there's also nothing wrong with taking the monk class and just replacing the bits that you want to replace and keeping the rest that you want to keep. And there's nothing wrong with starting out an entirely new class. I guess it would come down to how much time you're willing to dedicate to it. Obviously, it's a lot easier and a lot quicker to just reflavor a class.
Yeah, just reskin it.
It's Yeah, and it's a significant investment to make a new class. And one of the reasons we're kind of a mix between the two with Dungeons and Destiny and how we've approached our classes. We've got a lot of classes that are very new, and we have a lot of classes that aren't that different from the 5e SRD classes. We lean towards rewriting ours because we're a completely different setting. We've got things that are unique to the Destiny experience that you're not going to find in a Swords and Sorcery 5e game sort of situation. We've got scanners, we've got infrared technology, and we have classes that interact with these things. We've got the Night Stalker who can do this focus action ability to not appear as a living creature on scanners. So a creature that is relying on its scanners to see something like, say, a Vex unit that is missing its eye because someone stabbed it out or something in a previous session. I'm totally not calling out one of my players at this point. But so if you got a situation like that, a creature's relying on its scanners, that Night Stalker is just gonna, all they have to do is just not move. They're just gonna be the equivalent of rocks. And that's something that is actually integral to how the class plays, and that's not something you're going to get in 5e class, so we had to adjust that ourselves.
That seems like a pretty good segue into our next topic, which would be that something like Destiny is a big genre shift from the usual fantasy approach to D&D. So what would your advice for the kinds of things that a designer or homebrewer can expect to do when translating a fantasy system like 5e to something sci-fi like Destiny? Some of which you just answered.
You're going to do a lot of rewriting is what you're going to do. You're going to do a lot of rewriting. You got to rethink your entire approach to setting up encounters. Because, locked door, well, this person, they'll have to get a lockpick set. No, they're just going to, because this is a door, it's a modern door, it's locked with one of those scanner things that detects if there is a body on the other side. So it's like, like a shipping facility door. Have you ever seen those things on top of it? I have done a lot of research into modern technology.
I don't know what you're talking about, but I believe that it exists.
I don't know enough about it to dispute it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Let's go with something really that everyone should know. You're robbing a museum. There's a laser grid.
Okay.
Thank you for dumbing it down for us.
No, everyone should know this because this is, it's in all the movies and everything. There's not a whole lot of movies about blowing smoke over the detectors on the inside of doors that only open one way when they detect a body on the inside of it to trick the detector into thinking, and so on and so forth.
So, lasers.
But you're shifting your entire view of how to even set up a basic trap for players, because they're going to have tablet computers, they're going to have surveillance drones, they're going to have infrared sight, and these are things that can get around a lot of the typical problems you see in a Swords and Sorcery. Like, I can totally see that bear trap there because I have a metal detector.
Right.
So it's you're going to be spending a lot of time uh, researching modern technology to start because you have to know where we are now to hypothesize where we could be in a future sci-fi setting.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then you're going to be just spending a lot of time trying to break out of old habits of, oh, the door closed behind them. Well, all right, so we got we got a we got a freaking tech wizard over here who can just hack the door and open it up again. Yeah.
Just, plug your ghost into it and
It
then
just
stand in
yeah,
front of
you
your
you
ghost for a
put
couple
your
seconds and
a couple seconds, three waves of enemies, you know how it goes.
yeah, a couple of rounds of combat. I
Couple things.
wonder if it wouldn't be a different question to ask, like, how do you keep yourself from reinventing the wheel when you go from a setting based system like D&D 5e into trying to make a Destiny hack for it? How do
Oh
you
yeah.
keep yourself from recreating things that don't necessarily need to be like completely rewritten, maybe just need to be reskinned?
That is, I'd say half the feedback we get is stuff concerning that. It's things like, we did this whole multi-part mechanic system that is going to be an optional rule. It was a rule baked into the game when we first started, but now it's going to be an optional rule in our game master's guide. And the multi-part mechanic system that we had come up with, it started out based off of the Angry GM's multi-part monster system, and
Oh
then
yeah, I
we
love his stuff. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, he's great. He speaks to my soul, especially with just how angry he gets at
No,
some things.
he's just so fucking angry.
Right? And we had made a whole bunch of stuff and thrown in some video game sort of flavors to it, but as we were testing it, we were sort of realizing that it worked and it was fun and players did like engaging with it, but one question we constantly got all the time was from GMs who were saying, "How do I tell my players that this multi-part exists on this new monster? Like
Mm,
is it an intelligence check? Do I just wait until they decide to shoot it? And so on and so forth. And then when you have players that already know the multi part mechanics of a monster, the effective CR of the monster gets dropped very quickly.
right.
Because once you know, okay, you shoot this, then you shoot that, or you attack this, and then you attack that, and you get him to shove his own sword up his behind or something. Once you know the steps, you can go through it really fast, and it turns every monster into kind of the same combat loop, and you want to keep it different. So we're going over our feedback, and we're listening to a lot of feedback about our GMs that are saying it's cool and all, but it's just not really something that has long-term value to it. So it was kind of a situation of trying to reinvent monsters when we didn't need to. When
Mm,
we realized what we needed to do was just tell GMs if you wanted to do a multi-part mechanic, something that would fit Destiny, if you wanted to do something like you're fighting a fallen walker. Here's kind
that
of
was
the
actually
steps you
exactly what I thought of.
Yeah, you're fighting a fallen walker. Here's kind of the steps you can implement, and the stats of the monster were hell to try to calculate going by the multi-part mechanics, especially what we had for walkers, because the weak point is the brain, right? And
Yeah.
like this is a walking tank. It's got a massive AC, huge hit point pool, except if you pop the legs and then shoot the brain, and then its hit points is only like 50 at that point. So how do you it had two CRs basically. One CR was if players had no idea what the multi-part mechanics were, and if players knew what the multi-part mechanics were, and they were completely different and just not worth the hassle of trying to redo 5e's monster system to fit. So
Hmm.
they just had to it just had to be moved over and put in as optional rules. So I'd say TLDR feedback will keep you it will if you're listening to your feedback and you're taking it to heart and you're, actually paying attention to not just what your players are saying, but how they're reacting to all of their things, because they're only going to tell you like 50% of what's actually going through their head. I sit in on sessions and I listen to the people going through their tests and everything, and I listen to them talk about their characters and what they're trying to do and what the GM's trying to do, and half of the things I notice during play don't get brought up during our feedback at the end of the session, but I, notice them, so I write them down.
Right, because the players may not necessarily have the language to describe it, or they may not even realize what the
Yeah,
source
and
is, or yeah.
I don't really have too much more to add.
That
um,
was really good. Thank you.
yeah, it was really good. Thank you. It's really an accomplishment because I'm a fucking mouthy know-it-all. And usually I'm like, well.
Well, to add on to that, I think.
Just gonna go add made Monica speechless.
No, you didn't make me speechless. Don't give yourself that much credit.
Not alright, I'll
Let's not get ahead of ourselves here.
I think a game, the structure of the way D&D works with like its encounter setup and the way classes work and stuff like that, is really excellently suited to something that's a little on the action RPG shooter scale, like Destiny. It may even be better for it than it is for fantasy, in air quotes, whatever the fuck that really means. So really the core of my point, and really kind of the core of Kitty's point too, is how much work are you, generally you, willing to put into doing things like writing all new weapon tables, converting damage types, changing other mechanical assumptions like the door thing. Do you just simply reskin magic items into technology? Do you keep both, especially in a setting like Destiny, which has that like Magitech kind of feel to it? It's really sort of a, what are you willing to just sort of rewrite as, well, this is just a monk, but it's something else. We're just going to reskin it and call Flurry of Blows Rapid Fire instead, or whatever. Or like, are you willing to redo it? And I think that is a question for you as the person writing the game, and what and how you're writing it for. Like, if you're just,
what would you at home do?
What would you at home? But like, I think there's a big difference between if you are creating a conversion for public consumption, even if it is a fan made product that you are going to make a nice PDF of and put out for free as like, hey, I really love this and I made it like this, like DnDestiny, or if it is something that you are just doing for the 6 people you play with on Tuesday. You know, like,
oh yeah, definitely.
What you do for your home group, because our show addresses both people who are professionals, people who want to create a product, and people who are just doing this for fun. If you're just doing this for fun, there's no obligation to do all that work if you don't have to.
Just don't even.
It's not fun. Don't do it.
Don't. If you get 2 hours into it and you're happy where it is, good. Stop.
I'm going to raise my hand and ask that we move our mid-episode break up here, since we're about midway through the episode.
All right, sure, whatever.
Kitty, cool. I'm gonna mute you like in the Matrix.
Okay.
Now her mouth's all glued shut.
All right.
That's creepy. I probably shouldn't do that.
That's weird. BXP and the mid-episode break room are brought to you by the Misdirected Mark Network. Bing. Bing. Become a BXP patron. Even $3 a month gives you access to our No!
Stop! No! You stop writing on the outline! You're silent now! Become a BXP patron.
Even $3 a month gets you access to our outline, a mini episode of bonus content every month, a really sassy guest, and an actual play. Mini bonus content goes up twice a month. Also, all patrons can now be members of our Discord.
We got a Discord. Did you hear? Monica broke it.
Very temporarily, and then I fixed it. If you'd rather support BXP without messing up our outline and committing to monthly payments, you can still buy a coffee at ko-fi.com/isitbxpcast?
Fuck. I still haven't looked it up. What's my own goddamn coffee? Okay, I think it's...
Wait, all right, well...
Bonus XP Cast.
Is it Bonus XP Cast?
I think it's Bonus XP Cast.
But if you look for Bonus Experience, you'll find us. You can also buy our stuff, including products made by our guests. You can also check out our merch page, which has t-shirts, mugs, phone cases, notebooks, and more. Treat yourself to something cool and support us while doing it. bxpcast.com/bxpswag.
If you like BXP, you'll love this Misdirected Mark show, Bone, Stone, and Obsidian. Wayne and Robert take monthly deep dives into the dark sun setting and discuss it across all editions of D&D.
And now back to our show.
Okay, we can unmute her now.
All right, cool.
Okay, welcome back.
Before we go on, can I say just one thing for my patrons who will most likely be listening to this episode? It's something very important to them.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Sure.
Okay, first of all, I love you guys. Second of all, page 11. All right, we can keep going now.
Okay.
It's very mysterious.
Don't worry about it.
Is this an ARG? Are we in an ARG? You have to tell me legally. You have to tell me if we're in an ARG.
Wait, do I?
Don't. Okay, I'm gonna check with our lawyer and get back to you. So what kind of challenges did you face designing from a video game to a tabletop game? I got really excited for this question because every time I think about playing a Destiny role-playing game, like on the table, I get all hung up on the respawn mechanic. So let's
So
talk.
our respawn mechanic is very straightforward. If you fall to 0 hit points, so 0 health and 0 shields, so that's a whole nother thing. I don't want to get into it. I don't want to ramble. So you fall to 0 hit points, you die. This death is temporary and can be reversed by ghost resurrection. And
Yes.
that's also how we have it set up. It was actually I can't remember how quickly this got implemented. It was something I kind of figured was just going to get used and that it hasn't really been changed since. But it's just you have a number of hit die, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you're a guardian, you can spend 1 hit die to resurrect yourself. And then you get your hit die back when you complete rests and so on and so forth. So it's a resource that's already in the game. You fall to 0 hit points. Your ghost, if your ghost isn't dead, it can just capture your light and then resurrect you, and that costs 1 hit die. So now going through the rest of, say, the strike or the raid you're in, you have 1 less hit die. At first level, that's a big deal. You're still a baby guardian. You're still getting used to things. If you die again after that, you're not strong enough to come back again. But if you're a 20th level guardian, you'll probably end up dying 10 times before you even get to the coffee shop in the morning, but that's fine. That's just life. You get over it at that
I'm
point.
doing like the hippie with his mind blown, like shaking my head like, whoa!
Carl
You tied
Sagan!
it
That's
to
not
hit
a hippie,
dice.
that's Carl Sagan! Ugh!
Whatever.
Can't believe
You tied it to
you did
hit dice. That's great. I can't believe I didn't fucking think of that.
Yeah, I mean, tying it to hit dice is really smart. Though
Fuck.
that
But
so
now I'm thinking about a level 20 Destiny that's like, okay, I've got 20 hit die. I'm just gonna throw myself off the tower
Right.
for fun. Whee!
That's it too, because we have the
I'm an
different
immortal
dark
sociopath. Hooray!
basically. We have the different darkness zones. We have a light zone. Basically, the tower is your typical light zone, right? You can just throw
Yeah.
yourself off and your ghost can resurrect you. And we have a new type of rest in the game that's called a brief rest. It's 5 minutes. If your ghost spends a brief rest in a light zone, it gets all your hit die back. So you can still die infinitely at level 1 at the tower if you want to. But once you go into, say, Oryx's Ascendant Realm, you're an oppressive darkness zone. No matter how many hit die you have, you can't be revived. There is just so much darkness here. Your ghost has to physically get you out of there, has to capture your light and fly the fuck out and get somewhere where it can actually do a revival to revive you.
So this one time, like 7 years ago, I did a conversion for Powered by the Apocalypse for a shooter game I really like.
Oh yeah, what was that
What
called?
was that called? It was called No Rest for the Wicked, and it was a conversion
Yeah.
of Borderlands.
For Bumpus
For
League?
Bumpus League, yeah. And I'm gonna bring it up, and now everybody and their brother's gonna bother me about not finishing the extra classes I said I was gonna write again. Uh, but that also has a respawn mechanic. But
Right,
it doesn't.
yeah.
Right, it doesn't use 5e. It uses Powered by the Apocalypse, and in Borderlands, you can just respawn indefinitely, even if you've run out of money. So
You just turn. What?
s-
Do you just
s-
like? I've never gotten to that point, so I don't know
Oh
what
yeah,
happened.
it's very very hard to get to that point. And
Okay.
I've never gotten there either. But like my friends who would then like play the raid bosses, and I just don't enjoy raiding at all. So I was really annoyed when high level Borderlands basically just became raiding. But anyway, they were like, yeah, you can throw yourself against this raid boss over and over again, and it turns out you can in fact run out of money and continue to respawn. It just takes a percentage of 0, which is 0.
Oh.
Yeah. So once you reach 0, like, so there is actually an in-game thing where like you can run out of money and continue to respawn. So the consequence of respawning is actually a move, and it's when you roll your respawn, you just roll, which doesn't involve a stat. And depending on what happens, you either wind up in an inconvenient location, you lose money, or you get attacked on your way back. You can't actually fail to respawn, but really bad things can happen when you pop out. Or you can wind up being like, I'm halfway across the map, what the fuck? Which is actually something that can actually happen in game.
I
So
might steal that. I might steal that roll to respawn idea for a cursed item.
okay.
Just
Go
go
for it.
ahead, keep going. I'm just
Yeah, go for it. In fact, while I'm nattering, I probably can pull up the move and tell you. But I think when you're converting a video game to a tabletop game, that is all about capturing the right game feel. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you should go listen to our episode, Tone Scope and Power Scale, right now. Go. Pause the episode, go, listen to it, come back. Are you back? Okay. As a human being, you can't possibly do all the complex math required to, say, get exactly the same loot drops or simulate the same game world physics that you can in a video game, but you can use dice and probability and narrative structures to create the same feeling.
Yeah. Like the chance to respawn halfway across the map.
Right. You're like,
This is a word I actually know. I'm not actually formally trained on making video games. I did go to college and I did take programming classes. I just never got the degree, so I technically can't say I'm formally trained on it. But this is a word I actually know.
Mhm.
Aesthetic. Yeah. Dropping that one.
That's a good one.
Capturing the aesthetic of the game that you're trying to translate is super important because you will never capture the exact mechanics, okay? You will never get that. It's video game, computer, tabletop, pencil and paper. They're not the same. You're never going to recreate the Mona Lisa with charcoal because it's charcoal.
Yeah,
However, you can capture the values of the painting. You can capture that sort of solemn look or like vaguely happy look she has, depending on your interpretation of it. So capturing the aesthetic of the Mona Lisa is going to be your goal.
Yeah, you are a human. You're not a computer. Your brain is not a spreadsheet. You can't actually import
you also
all those
aren't
numbers.
like an entire like AAA development team,
Right?
With
God,
$1 million budget. I'm just one man.
So I found the respawn move and I pulled it up so I can read you the actual text. The name of the move is respawn, which is one of the things the respawn thing will yell at you when you pop back out. When you reach 0 health and fail to fight for your life, which is another move, roll with no modifier. On a 10+, if not already defined, the new use station is in a convenient distance and nothing attacks you while you regroup. On a 7 to 9, pick 1. 1, it's a convenient distance away. 2, nothing attacks you on your way back. 3, you don't leave anything behind. On a miss, you respawn, but the GM decides what happens.
You respawn.
Yeah, that's cool as heck.
Naked.
That's cool
Covered
as heck.
in honey.
Thank you. This is actually my job.
Everyone's job here. You're not.
It's still so surreal.
It's true.
So what genres or stories do we think are best suited for 5e conversions as opposed to any other system we could pull from?
Okay, so this one, it might be a little too personal for me, but generally whenever I go and post about Dungeons and Destiny, I inevitably get like 3 or 4 comments that's all like, 5e is such a shitty system to do this in, why would you do this? Why not use XYZ system? And it's like, on one hand, I'm very happy that you're very passionate about something other than 5e. 5e is not like, just because it's popular doesn't mean it is the best. There are plenty of things that 5e can stand to improve on, and there are plenty of other perfectly amazing other systems out there. I've played a few of them. However, I feel like 5e gets a lot of unnecessary flack for the way that it's set up, to be honest. It's not as rigidly structured on combat as people seem to think it is. Like, it definitely, when you look at, like, and I've fucking pulled these classes apart at the seam, and I could tell you almost everything about 5e classes, and I think I found a couple mistakes by Wizards of the Coast, but I don't want to, like, say anything because they probably know better than me, and probably intentional mistakes in there, but...
Let me tell you, no, those mistakes are not intentional. Having been on the back end plenty of times, those mistakes are mistakes, just telling you. Carry on.
I don't know, but there is plenty of mechanics, and there is plenty in 5e that just makes running combat very smooth and simple and easy, and that doesn't mean it is only for heavy combat systems, though. Because, like, I have a group that I've been playing with for 3 years now. We don't even roll initiative anymore. We barely get into combat encounters. 90% of the time, we're sitting there role-playing with each other, and then occasionally it'll be like, okay, so we actually have to break out the dice for this because you two are equally matched, and we can't, just role-play this out. We're going to leave it to the dice. And if you look at things like the Adventure Zone and Critical Role and stuff like this, you see that there is so much... It's easier to take things out of a game than to put things into a game. And if you have a game that doesn't have a robust combat system, like, yeah, I can have the best roleplay system in the world, but when you get to combat and you're floundering about that, it's easier to ignore the combat in 5e, and then you just have that to fall back on when you need it.
I want to make it clear that we are not asking this to put you on the spot about your
Oh, no.
system choice, and that
It's actually, if anything, it's for our own listeners, because Monica and I tend to go hog wild on Powered by the Apocalypse system and Fate or Forged in the Dark, and we kind of use 5e really just to run Dungeons and Dragons, and I think it's interesting to have that second voice, especially with our series, because we tend to kind of gloss over 5e. And you're absolutely right. It's got a really crunchy combat system, and it's much easier to just take out the stuff you don't use than it is to add a whole new system.
Also, you're right. It's very popular, which means that a lot of people who are listening to our show looking for advice for what to do are going to look at it to do just about anything. Not every system can do everything. So, like, we're asking this question for you to teach people, like, what to do. Usually I'm the hater who's like, why are you using 5e for this? But Destiny is not the answer. Like, this is not where I would be like, you're like, I want to make a 5e hack and I'm going to do it for Destiny. And that is not where I would be like, don't use 5e for that. What the fuck is wrong with you? In fact, there I would be like, yes, excellent choice.
Yeah. You need a crunchy combat system.
I think if you follow Stacy's advice that she's given through this whole show, you could probably make a really good 5th edition conversion for just about anything.
Go forth and hack.
Yes.
My final advice: just don't do it. Oh my god, it's so much work. It's so much work. Oh my god. Oh my god. I thought this would be like a weekend project. I'd get it done in like 6 months, maybe 8 months. It's a year later. We've missed all of our deadlines. The community, thank fuck for the community and them being so understanding with this. I do feel like, though, that what I've learned over this past year and just all the trial and error, all the feedback that I've gotten playing the game a fuck ton, GMing the game a fuck ton, it's really turned into a much better game than I thought it was going to be or could even possibly have been when I started out, though. So like we're doing that right. It's great. I'm sorry, it's mine. It's my baby. It's my dumpster fire. It's my dumpster fire, you jerks. I put my heart and soul as kindling into this, and it's perfect. I was just going to give a really big shout out to my team, who are absolutely amazing, and I don't think I could have asked for better people to be working with, and especially with recently things that have just been hitting the fan and all that stuff, like getting support not only from my community, but from my team saying, like, it's okay for things not to be okay right now, and we can just work together and figure this out. That's just been absolutely the best. And I don't know how to fully articulate how thankful I am for each and every one of them. It's just been everything from just handling the Twitter account, from doing, the tweets, and then our helping out with doing our April Fool's prank, which that was a thing that happened. For April Fools, we did a thing where it was like, we said we got a partnership with Sony. We're now a Sony exclusive.
Oh god.
We're tabletop. And we said we were a Sony exclusive, and just being able to hang out and just shooting the shit in the production server and just seeing the community's response to that, and just it's everything. It's helping out with the tables, it's helping out with monster design, it's helping out with running games. It's so much. They do so much work, and they help out so much, and I owe them so much. I wish I could do more for them. And yeah, this has gone on too long. I'm a sap. I gotta go.
I'll put this in there, and it will be immortalized on our tiny little podcast. Well, thank you very much for sharing your heart and soul fire with us. That sounded really cool.
That sounded really cool.
Damn. Thank you so much for coming to talk to us. I know it was sort of fraught with peril getting to this point. Yeah. I hope shit starts to even out for you. And also thank you so much for making time to come talk to us. It was really awesome. I'd really been looking forward to it, because I love that you're out there fucking making this thing. It's like the perfect Venn diagram intersection of two things I really love.
You should hop over. You should hop over and play a couple games.
I'm probably gonna come and like find out how to get on your Discord and just bother you.
But yeah, we can get you modules to play too.
I'm gonna have to stay in contact. But for now, we need to wrap up the podcast the way we
Yeah,
traditionally wrap up the
it's
podcast.
we're past the screaming hour, so we need to give Stacy time to go scream.
I'm
Yeah.
gonna mute you again.
I'm 12 minutes behind. I'm 12 minutes behind on my
Overdue
screaming.
for screaming. Mute her so she can scream, and we'll wrap up the
Okay.
show.
I'm muting you. Go
All right,
scream.
go scream.
Okay. She's
Okay.
muted. Now
Yep, she's screaming at our outline. Okay. She's scream at own ass. You can find more of the show at bxpcast.com, part of the Misdirected Mark Network. You gonna do the thing where you ask me the questions?
Yeah.
Monica, where can they find our podcast on the internet?
Do you want me to start over from the beginning?
Is that how I do it? Monica, where can they find us on Twitter?
They can find us at bonusexpcast.
Where can they email us?
If you want to shoot us an email, tell us whether or not you agree or disagree with all these excellent points. We will ignore you if you disagree. You can send us an email at bonusexpcast@gmail.com. You can also just send us cool pictures of your pets, tell us how awesome we are, share some stories, and provide feedback.
And you could, scream at
Scream at own ass, scream at your own butt. I don't care.
Hey, Monica, I heard a rumor that you're on Twitter.
I am. You're getting all Umbrella Academy on me here?
No, absolutely not.
You can.
No.
Okay.
Sorry.
I
Continue.
read the comics recently. Anyway, we can talk about that later. I am at Zenith Sun.
Well, I'm at Ray_Cole. Still got that underscore. Yep. Have it and pry it out of my cold dead hands.
I think you should unmute our guest so she can tell the people where they can find her stuff.
Oh, right. Oh, hello, Kitty. Where can they find your stuff?
You can find us on our website, DnDestiny.com. That's N like the letter N. It's weird. We're also at DnDestiny info on Twitter. If you just Google Dungeons and Destiny, I think we're currently the top result because I think we are the only Dungeons and Destiny game. Yes, there are no other Dungeons and Destiny games. I mean, there's other Destiny 5e conversions, but none of them are called Dungeons and Destiny. That was a working title, by the way. That was a working title. It was not supposed to be the final title. We were supposed to come up with something better. We never did.
Too bad.
But DnDestinyProject.com, at DnDestiny info on Twitter. I personally can be found at GoodGameKitty at Twitter. I mostly just scream on Twitter. It's just
okay.
I'm sorry, you're just gonna get a lot of screaming on Twitter.
Sometimes you just scream.
That's my stress relief these days, screaming. Well, and now that it's not all snowy out, I go and I play Pokemon Go, so that's nice.
Well, getting your exercise. That's nice.
Yeah.
Getting those cotton candy mareeps.
Yeah, the cotton candy mareeps. I just want to eat them. I bet they taste delicious.
Is that it? Did we get everything?
I think we got everything.
Okay. All right, cool. Everybody
Let's
get
go.
out.
Let's go try this game out.
I'm gonna...
Bye. Make good choices, everyone. Try not to die.
And remember to change it if you want to. Ski papa. It's our tagline.
Cue music.
We do some music.
Change it if you want to.
Bonus Experience is written and produced by Monica and Ray. Our logo and art are by Nino Studios. Our theme song is Reuse Noise with the Light by CDK and is used under the Attribution Non-Commercial Creative Commons license. While listening to this uncommon podcast, any critical hit against you becomes a normal hit. We'll see you next time.